Well, things are getting really weird regarding this solar eclipse that's going to be happening on April 8th. I've never seen anything like this, at least since I've been alive, where the entire country is almost in a state of panic, and not just here in the United States, also Canada. I'm talking about the National Guard being deployed, people and citizens being told to stay home, prepare with food, water, and hey, your cellular phones could lose some service. Of course, traffic's going to be crazy. And hey, while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and call in the National Guard. And hey, to top it all off, I just found out that NASA is going to be launching some crap into the sky. Anybody else what the is going on? I mean, really, I've got a lot to talk to you about today. But before I do, I want to encourage you, get to restrictiverepublic.com if you really want to know what's truly going on, because we're highly censored here on this controlled platform. Get to restrictiverepublic.com and subscribe right now. You are going to want to subscribe there because I share all kinds of stuff, uncensored content there on YouTube. Use the coupon code RR and the number 4 to get it for $3.99 per month for 2 years. You're not going to want to miss it. And if you're here on YouTube, it's only free because they give you brainwashable content. Come on over to restrictiverepublic.com and support what we do and get the uncensored truth. All right, so let's dive into what on earth is going on. I've been talking in detail over at Restrictive Republic regarding this solar eclipse that's going to be happening and going across our skies here in the United States, and how a prior eclipse that happened, and here we are, I believe it's 7 years later, and now this eclipse is going in the other direction. It's going to make a big X over our country, and more specifically, it's going to cross in and around, if you will, the New Madrid. But with that, what I find rather intriguing, I guess, on top of all of that, is the fact that we have cities, states, counties declaring national emergencies on top of calling in the National Guard, not to mention what I have to share with you towards the end of this report regarding NASA. But let's go on over to Canada. Here's what's happening in Canada. This is on the AP News. Canada's Niagara region declares a state of emergency to prepare for an influx of eclipse viewers. So over in the state of Canada, specifically in the Niagara Falls area, they are going to have a state of emergency initiated. Now, it's not only there in Canada that is happening. In fact, it's far worse here in the United States of America. Let's go on over to the state of Texas, because they're doing quite a bit of things. And this, by the way, keeps growing. I think I had 1 or 2 counties when I originally did this. Now it's like a massive amount of counties there in Texas. But here we have KCEN-TV. Bell County officials issue emergency declaration ahead of the 2024 solar eclipse. Then we also have here MSN.com, KWKT Waco. Killeen declares local state of emergency ahead of the total solar eclipse. Kaufman County also issues disaster declaration ahead of the total solar eclipse. Then we have Boss County Office of Emergency Management declares state of emergency from April 5th to the 9th. They've kind of extended that there. We have Newsweek. Texas official warns people to stock up on food ahead of the solar eclipse. And it's not just food. In this article, you guys can scroll through it. I'll leave a link in the description box, but it wants them to stock up on food, water, emergency essentials, schedule appointments around certain times, because obviously they're expecting an influx of people. And then also in Texas, they're closing some of the schools there on the day of the eclipse on April 8th. Texas official warns schools to close ahead of the solar eclipse. Now, that's just one state. And mind you, the thing is going to go over a big chunk of Texas there, but it's actually going to cross around 12 states. And I'm going to show you this little map here first. But this was the one on the left is the old solar eclipse. The one on the right is the one that's going to be coming. But it crosses over, I believe it was 12 states. Don't quote me on that number. But there are more counties outside of Texas that are, well, declaring orders and stay at home and emergencies. Here we have Elira Township asking communities stay home during the eclipse. Now, I may have butchered that name. I'm sorry, but this is over in Ohio, by the way. Also happening in Ohio, state officials discuss safety plans ahead of solar eclipse. And basically, a lot of these plans mimic kind of what is going on in Texas, have food, water, plan ahead, these kinds of things. And by the way, a lot of them have even talked about cell phone outages and whatnot. But we've also had this happening, and this happened in Indianapolis, why Governor Holcomb declared a state of emergency ahead of the solar eclipse. This happened in all of Indiana. So he's saying, hey, I'm the governor. We're going to have this state of emergency in our particular state, but it's not just there. Let's go on over to what's happening in, well, New York. They're a little bit crazy in New York because they've already sent the National Guard to, well, hinder crime in the subway system. I wonder how that's going. But anyway, we have this. This is an MSNWSY article. Oswego County declares local state of emergency ahead of eclipse, and that is in New York. Also in New York authorities warn residents to expect cellular disruptions during the upcoming solar eclipse and to stock up on food and water and fuel. These are things a lot of the separate states and counties have advised. Then we have New York State Police, Troops E. The Troop E prepares for the total solar eclipse. So now we have troops on the street preparing for this thing in New York. It wasn't in New York State before, but now it's in New York. We already knew that they were out in Oklahoma. Here's 2024 eclipse. Oklahoma National Guard has been called in to help with the crowds there in Oklahoma. And well, South Carolina, we also have this. U.S. Army South Carolina National Guard prepares for solar eclipse. So we have the National Guard called in. We have people being told to prepare for cell phone outages, have food, water, have extra gas. Try to stay home if you can, because all these crowds are going to be out. Now, I have already speculated before. The reason that I believe this is really being overdone, in my opinion, right? Maybe not. Maybe there's those of you who disagree, and maybe legitimately so. I think it's really being overdone, but I think they're overdoing it to prepare for future states of emergencies. God forbid something bad happens. So I think this is kind of a preparation for them. However, there's one little tangent that I also want to add that I really didn't think of in the past broadcast. And that's the fact that we have to remember that there are over 2 million gotaways who have come in at our border. And I have been advising people, we haven't, well, before I get into that, we haven't properly vetted these 2 million some odd people that came across, that the Biden administration admits has gotten away, and they don't even know who the hell they are. Say 1.5 million or 2.5. It's somewhere in between there. Please don't quote me on the number, but I know it's in the millions. But anyway, we don't know if they're terrorists. We don't know if they're a threat to our country. We don't know if they're criminals. And now we have massive amounts of people gathering to specific areas. Could they be concerned about some kind of terrorist activity or terrorist threat happening during that time? Because what do terrorists do? Well, they have terrorist habits, and they target places that are really that have a lot of people in them. So as beautiful as the eclipse is going to be, I am not going to be traveling to any of these congested areas. You make your own decision for your family. Hopefully I can kind of, see it or see pictures of it, but it's just going to be one crazy thing, I think, with a lot of people out. But I think there is possibly some concern with some kind of terrorist activity. That's why I have been advising lately my audience, hey, don't go to mega concerts or anything, because there's a lot of crazy stuff happening right now and our border is not secure. So take precaution if you do go out. I'm with you either way. I know it's going to be an amazing sight. But what kind of is the icing on the cake now is the fact that NASA is going to be launching rockets up there on the very same day. Take a look at what I'm talking about. This is on AccuWeather.com. NASA rockets to blast off during the height of the solar eclipse. No, really, it's not a joke. The alignment of the sun, moon, and earth presents a rare opportunity for scientists to study the planet's atmosphere and how it changes during the event. During October's Ring of Fire solar eclipse across the western U.S., NASA launched rockets from New Mexico and aims to conduct similar launches on April 8th. Rockets will launch at 3 different times, 45 minutes before, during, and after the peak location the peak local eclipse. NASA explained, adding that the rockets would launch from the Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia. Now, the reason that they're doing this is to collect important data about the Earth's ionosphere, right? So that's kind of their reasoning for doing it. And I'm pretty sure that is the reason that they are doing it. I don't negotiate that at all. So they're seizing up the opportunity to take advantage of it and send off these rockets. Now, what makes this interesting is the name that they give this thing. NASA to launch, and this is on Gateway Pundit, NASA to launch 3 sounding rockets during the total solar eclipse, project named after the Egyptian god of darkness and chaos. I mean, do they want some kind of bad omen in our country? I don't know, but that's what they named it after. And the actual name is the atmospheric perturbations around the eclipse path, or APEP. Now, what's interesting is what APEP stands for, and it says the mission's name, APEP, is a nod to the mythological serpent that was believed to be Ra's eternal adversary, symbolizing the eternal struggle between light and darkness, according to NASA. The ancient Egyptians thought that during an eclipse, APEP or APEP came close to devouring the sun deity, which is an allegory for the cosmic event. Dun, dun, dun. So here we are. Here we are. Here we are indeed. But anyhow, I guess the whole thing with this is I just find it interesting and fascinating that we just keep adding all these things, to this solar event. And like I said before, I don't think anything different is going to happen. I think they're just preparing for other things in the future and maybe even taking precautions for some kind of terrorist activity that could hit. And who knows, maybe they know something that we don't. NASA's just an added bonus. Hopefully they get the information that they need. That's really all I see it as. But who knows? It could be like a cover for more, but I highly doubt. Anyhow, with that, I also want to remind you the Devil's Comet is going to be going through the sky around that same time and through the month, I believe. And meanwhile, we have this dangerous cosmic rocket going up from NASA. Just a lot of crazy things, not to mention the cicadas that are going to be out in force for the first time in a very long time. Lots of stuff. Anyhow, with that, I want to encourage you to check out my sponsor, Noble Gold Investments. They have a YouTube channel. If you really want to understand, gold, silver, precious metals, why these things are important, subscribe to their channel. Just hit that sub button. Make sure you have all checked like I do here. This is a channel that I personally follow. You guys can see it, but they've got all kinds of great information on, should we increase minimum wage? What's the benefit? Not the benefit. Inflation, banks, what's going on with banks, why you should or shouldn't invest, how to handle gold, silver, and how to improve your retirement and savings there. And a good channel. So subscribe to that. It's absolutely free to subscribe to that. Check them out. They have been a sponsor of mine for a very long time. This is something that you can do for me personally. And it's free, but you want to follow them. I absolutely watch a lot of the videos on there. So Noble Gold, go to Noble Gold Investments on YouTube and check out their channel. And if you want to get a free gold and silver investment guide, check out lisahavengold.com. A link is in the description box below, by the way. Fill in this information, click get it now, and they'll send you that free gold and silver investment guide. But if you want the link to the YouTube channel, it's in the description box along with that link. And if you're on the cell phone, click the more button and it'll take you to that area as well. Anyhow, with that, I wanted to share all of that information with you guys. I love you all. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.